Evidence secured at marker 4. Advise command we are holding the scene.
Copy that. It's getting heavier out here.
84 years of life disappeared into total darkness. Two men executed a singular, flawless plan. She vanished without a single scream. Neighbors heard zero. Witnesses saw absolutely nothing. And for endless weeks, her inner circle maintained a deafening silence. Yet one terrifying detail constantly keeps me awake at night. The physical evidence never pointed toward a lone intruder acting by himself. Investigators actually tracked two shadows. Once you examine the explosive evidence I uncovered, your entire perspective on this crime will shatter completely. Who exactly were these two mysterious ghosts? They left a trail. Stick around, because this investigation explores entirely uncharted territory. Welcome back. New viewers must brace themselves today, since we actively refuse to peddle shallow theories. We dive incredibly deep. We analyze everything methodically. We aggressively chase factual evidence toward every conclusion, even when those answers become profoundly uncomfortable. Anyone who watched part 1 of our series already understands the foundational facts. Abductors snatched 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, mother to NBC anchor Savannah Guthrie, from her residence nestled in the Catalina Foothills of Tucson, Arizona during the pre-dawn hours of February 1st. Detectives found zero forced entry, zero witnesses, and absolutely no recovered body. Forget those basic facts today. Right now, we actively expose two distinct men whose names haunted this exact investigation from day one. These two individuals share a dark connection spanning 19 full years. Both men possess backgrounds, behavioral patterns, and documented histories matching this abduction in ways that should make every viewer deeply uncomfortable. Are you ready? I hold no power to convict anyone. My singular purpose is solely to present verified public records, compiled neatly into one cohesive timeline for you. By the time we finish today, your mind will absolutely wrestle with massive, unanswered questions. Truly massive questions. But first, let me expose a critical clue that major news networks ignored completely. The foundation of everything I plan to share today builds upon one defining number: 2, rather than 1. 2. Crime scene technicians successfully extracted two distinct DNA profiles from key evidence, two unidentified males. Neither matched Nancy Guthrie herself. Neither sequence matched her relatives, and shockingly, neither profile triggered a single hit within the vast FBI database containing 19 million known criminal offenders. Pause and truly absorb that reality. 19 million stored criminals yielded exactly zero matches. Investigators lifted the first profile from biological matter inside Nancy's house. Detectives pulled the second from a glove, abandoned exactly 2 miles away. Two suspects, two distinct crime scenes, one abduction. Why does this detail shatter the official narrative? Because internet sleuths wasted months relentlessly hunting a solo suspect, searching blindly for one single face hiding beneath a dark ski mask. That perspective completely failed us from day one, since the forensic data consistently screamed about an organized criminal team. When you view this tragic mystery through the lens of a coordinated duo, every bizarre inconsistency immediately snaps into crystal clear, terrifying focus. Consider those missing 41 minutes. Her porch camera died at 1:47 a.m. Her medical pacemaker dropped its Bluetooth connection at 2:28 a.m. Exactly 41 long minutes. Intruders occupied that dark residence for 41 agonizing minutes while the city slept. Career thieves operate on strict 5-minute timelines to avoid capture. 10 minutes pushes extreme limits. Lingering 20 minutes inside an unfamiliar house borders on pure insanity. However, 41 minutes completely eliminates panic. These attackers never rushed. These intruders felt entirely, undeniably comfortable walking through her private living space. Now evaluate every single action the perpetrators executed during those highly structured 41 minutes, and visualizing a lone operator succeeding becomes logically impossible. The attacker rapidly needed to locate Nancy. He needed to physically subdue her. The local sheriff described this 84-year-old victim as incredibly alert and sharp-minded. Someone restrained her, and physically staged her for rapid transport, navigated her down pitch-black hallways, and shoved her into a waiting vehicle, while an accomplice constantly monitored escape routes, secured the perimeter, and ensured no suspicious neighbors triggered their outdoor security lights. One criminal attempting this solo equals a guaranteed catastrophe. It guarantees immediate capture. But a pair of intruders? Two synchronized operators effortlessly divide the heavy labor. One restrains Nancy, while his partner controls the environment, monitors doors, and primes the engine. A duo shifts 41 minutes from reckless to surgical. Former FBI negotiator Chip Massey bluntly informed the press that subduing a senior citizen during an extraction while juggling tactical logistics drastically exceeds the capabilities of any solitary human operator. Furthermore, the county sheriff refuses to officially eliminate the strong probability of an accomplice. Forensic facts completely destroy the lone wolf theory. They always have. What happens next, however, shifts everything into darker territory. Listen incredibly closely to these next details, because we are leaving the realm of random break-ins and analyzing highly structured criminal behavior. This screams calculation. This proves rehearsal. We are watching a stalker analyze his exact target for weeks before finally launching his midnight strike, January 11th. The Puma County Sheriff pinpointed this date immediately, demanding neighbors hand over all exterior surveillance video. Police withheld their reasoning, but detectives clearly hunted for a specific ghost. Then arrived January 23rd. 9 days before Nancy vanished, a figure walked backward past a house 6.5 miles from her property. Walking backward sounds absolutely bizarre, right? The actual strategic motive reveals everything. You finally grasp the method, and the reality hits you. They completely beat the system. This phantom calculated absolutely everything. Off-the-shelf surveillance gear like Ring relies entirely on detecting thermal signatures. Devices literally hibernate until your physical warmth triggers them. Firing up the hardware, focusing the optics, and pinging the router creates a lag. We mean a standard 1 to 2 second delay. Normal visitors approaching a front porch get their features captured dead center during that brief window. Stroll in reverse, however, and the device wakes up only to film your jacket. Your identity vanishes from the digital record completely. Our prowler never found this loophole by luck. They studied the hardware. They mapped it out. Grasping the precise tech mechanics allowed them to slip right through that tiny void between activation and capture. Planning replaced mere chance. Then, a neighborhood hound started sounding off. Hit a typical burglar with sudden noise during a crime, and they instantly turn. Human nature dictates that reaction, yet our suspect held steady. Retreating entirely in reverse, they crushed their own survival instincts, because exposing even a sliver of skin meant total failure, so they vanished. But the ghost returned. 9 days pass. On February 1st, that identical Ozark trail bag featuring those distinct glowing bands materializes at Nancy Guthrie's threshold. Only now, the strategy shifts drastically. He stops walking backward entirely. He strolls forward, acting like he owns the property. Extending a hand, he strikes the glass twice. Calm and methodical, he treats the device like a familiar household appliance. January 23rd served solely as a dry run. Seeing 0 squad cars roll up the following dawn proved his invisibility. Hitting February 1st ended the rehearsal phase. The actual execution began. Grasp this next framework, and your entire perspective on every single clue in this investigation will permanently shift. Organized strikes required 2 distinct players. You have the architect and the operative. The architect keeps his hands spotless. Data forms his currency. Floor plans, surveillance quirks, daily timetables, access pins, pill regimens, alarm networks, and local traffic patterns all sit inside his brain. Staking out the target wastes time when you already spent decades living comfortably inside that very inner circle, absorbing the knowledge. Meanwhile, the muscle brings the brute force, happily breaching a residence at 2 in the morning, navigating high-stress chaos with the cold experience required, possessing the exact physique matching the federal wanted bulletin. Watch closely as we assign these titles to our key players. Let me state this explicitly. My goal avoids pinning blame on specific individuals. We simply examine the public record together and watch the puzzle pieces lock into one specific shape. Consider 50-year-old Tommaso Cioni, a man born in Tuscany, Italy. He wed Nancy's oldest child, Annie Guthrie, in 2006. 2 decades of matrimony equals 20 years of weekly family dinners. 20 years spent crossing Nancy's threshold, passing her lenses, navigating her perimeter, and pacing her long corridors. He routinely passed the counter holding her daily prescriptions. This Tucson charter school advanced placement biology instructor also plays bass for a neighborhood rock band. Crucially, he remains the final known individual to see Nancy Guthrie left alive. Wrapping up a meal at his place on January 31st, Tommaso chauffeured his mother-in-law home. Sheriffs verified to the New York Times that he escorted her to the entryway around 9:50 at night. Claiming he watched her enter safely, he drove 4 miles home. 4 miles means 10 minutes cruising pitch-black desert highways. Exactly 3 hours and 57 minutes later, the doorbell surveillance completely drops offline, begging one critical question. Where was he? Authorities never released a confirmed alibi for Tommaso covering that critical time frame. Living under the same roof with Annie creates a massive problem. Spouses corroborating each other's stories absolutely fails the alibi test. You face a closed loop. Now consider what someone possessing Tommaso's intimate familiarity with the layout already understood without conducting a single second of surveillance. He possessed the crucial knowledge that those Nest devices never captured non-stop videotape. Nancy let her remote storage plan lapse. Motion-triggered push notifications, sure, but 0 digital archives ever actually existed. Federal agents partnered directly with Google merely to scrape residual data fragments off the back-end master drives. Only frequent houseguests realized the impressive security array served merely as expensive plastic ornaments instead of a functional threat. Assisting an 84-year-old relative with her gadgets makes it incredibly easy to spot the missing monthly storage payments. He held the secret to the steel security gate, the exact entryway the intruder bypassed on February 1st, without forcing anything. Detectives found 0 pry marks or metal damage. Perhaps a woman enjoying 40 years of undisturbed peace simply forgot to latch the deadbolt, or someone rigged it open. The exact individual, lingering at that boundary 4 hours prior, bidding farewell. He knew precisely what sat on the counter. Nancy's critical survival pills remained entirely untouched throughout that 41-minute ordeal, exposing a massive contradiction. A genuine ransom operation makes those prescription bottles the primary target. Dead hostages yield 0 financial return before the cash drops. Abandoning those life-saving medications points to one of 2 distinct conclusions. Either a bafflingly incompetent operative grabbed an 84-year-old pacemaker patient without grasping that she required daily pills to survive, or the mastermind already fully understood her immediate future, required absolutely 0 medical intervention. A precise window of vulnerability existed, and someone recognized it. NBC assigned Savannah Guthrie to cover the upcoming Winter Olympics, a broadcast schedule network executives locked in months ahead of time. Someone grabbed Nancy during the precise weekend. Her most powerful relative worked on the completely opposite side of the planet. If an attacker targeted Nancy while her most high-profile relative remained completely unreachable, who actually possessed access to that specific calendar? A close family member heard those exact travel plans dropped casually during dinner. Tommaso Cioni instructs college-level AP biology. He teaches students PCR amplification, the primary technique forensic laboratories deploy to process crime scene DNA. They master gel electrophoresis, the precise method technicians utilize to build genetic profiles for federal databases. Surveillance caught a porch suspect wearing black nitrile gloves, the identical brand stocking every single American biology classroom. Tommaso constantly wears nitrile gloves throughout his working routine. He demonstrates how students must handle sensitive specimens without causing contamination. He completely understands how DNA actively transfers across surfaces. He knows exactly what forensic technicians hunt for: He recognizes what investigators miss. But consider this overlooked fact regarding standard nitrile gloves. Manufacturers rate them for chemical resistance, not forensic prevention. Physical exertion creates microscopic tears directly around the fingertips. Sweat rapidly pools inside the material within minutes. If a suspect wears nitrile gloves while physically handling an elderly woman, controlling her movements, forcefully lifting her, and loading her into a vehicle, that moisture ultimately breaches the barrier. An experienced biology teacher grasps that reality completely. This means a trained biologist knows to discard those gloves miles away from the target house. Selecting an isolated location, investigators will not search immediately. But did they find one? Police located one anyway. They found it 2 miles from Nancy's house. It held unknown male DNA, not in CODIS. The sample matched 0 known offender profiles. Tommaso Cioni holds absolutely no criminal record. His DNA remains totally absent from CODIS. If he wore that specific glove, the database result perfectly mirrors what investigators see right now. Unknown, unmatched, totally invisible. Here is the specific turning point that stopped my breathing when I first connected the disparate pieces. Everything I just detailed regarding Tommaso points straight toward the architect, the planner, the true insider. He provided value through pure information and access, rather than raw physical capability. Yet the FBI officially described the porch suspect as male, 5'9" to 5'10", average build, wearing dark clothing, a ski mask, nitrile gloves, and an Ozark Trail backpack. Former FBI profiler Jim Clemente observed a potential tattoo or distinctive marking sitting on the suspect's right wrist. For weeks, online sleuths argued Tommaso stood far too tall to be the porch suspect. The FBI stated 5'9" to 5'10". Commentators claimed Tommaso stood 6 feet tall. Case closed? Not even close. Dominic Aaron Lee Evans, 48 years old, works as an elementary school teacher and drums in a Tucson band named Early Black, alongside Tommaso Cioni since 2007, 19 years total. They connected through local classified ads. Evans recruited a guitarist named Walter Gonalves using Craigslist. Cioni answered a Tucson weekly listing. They subsequently recorded their debut album together at Loveland Studios during late 2009. They explicitly titled it Life, Love, Love, Murder. Just let that documented fact sink in. What else matches? Evans stands roughly 5'9", with an average build, while cameras publicly photographed him wearing a mustache and goatee, perfectly matching the FBI's physical description. Online investigators closely reviewed available performance footage featuring the band Early Black. A visible mark appears on his right wrist, perfectly consistent with what Jim Clemente spotted on the official FBI surveillance footage. Height, build, facial hair, wrist mark, every individual data point from the FBI profile maps directly onto Dominic Evans. But the connections go much deeper. Evans holds felony records in Puma County: burglary, robbery, theft, embezzlement. These represent concrete facts, not mere allegations. These stand as official entries inside the Puma County Judicial Database. Burglary signifies unlawful entry into a structure holding criminal intent. Robbery involves taking property directly from a person using physical force or active intimidation. That documented criminal skill set, entry, confrontation, taking, overlaps with staggering precision to what actually occurred inside Nancy Guthrie's home. And here is the absolutely critical forensic detail to consider. Neither DNA profile from this entire case matched anyone inside CODIS. For an ordinary citizen lacking a record, that simply indicates police never arrested them for a qualifying offense. But for a suspect carrying multiple felony convictions in Puma County, their complete absence from that database demands an immediate explanation. Arizona altered their DNA collection laws over the years. If Evans received convictions predating the mandatory collection protocols for his specific offense categories, or if prosecutors resolved those past cases through plea agreements that entirely bypassed routine DNA submission requirements, imagine hiding in plain sight. He navigated the court system with a known criminal history while staying utterly invisible to federal DNA databases. A criminal rap sheet, yet zero genetic material collected. Forensically speaking, that makes him a ghost. Evans informed the New York Times he met Nancy Guthrie exactly once, at a 2011 Easter egg hunt. He claimed Instagram exposed her disappearance, prompting his private message to Tommaso, offering emotional support. Analyze that exact behavioral timeline. A massive kidnapping investigation dominates national headlines. Your own bandmate's mother-in-law stands as the primary victim. Yet your initial reflex involves contacting the suspect at the storm's center via private text. Sure, a panicked buddy might reach out during trauma, but this also perfectly mimics early post-operational protocol, a tactical status check brilliantly disguised as routine, everyday sympathy. Nobody debates whether he sent that specific text. Evans eagerly volunteered the detail. The real mystery remains what federal agents discovered while ripping through the metadata, studying the timing, and charting the frequency. Did Evans and Cioni drastically alter their private communication rhythms right before February 1st? Evans claims authorities questioned him for 40 minutes, then went totally dark. What does that silence actually mean? The answer is chillingly simple. 40 minutes represents a basic preliminary screening, not a deep forensic interrogation. That quiet aftermath might indicate investigators quickly cleared his name and pivoted. Or it signals they no longer need his voluntary input because they're mounting evidence using cell tower pings, retail receipts, vehicle tracking logs, and advanced genetic genealogy eliminates the need to pressure anyone into a confession. The local sheriff publicly cleared the immediate family, verifying all siblings and spouses. Dominic Evans qualifies as neither. He plays in the band. Yet the sheriff deliberately excluded his name from that public clearance statement, leaving one glaring question hanging in the air. That question points to the gear. We must discuss the tactical equipment, an element Tommaso Cioni's apologists constantly weaponized to defend him. The suspect arrived wearing a $20 Ozark Trail backpack bought straight from Walmart. Its reflective safety strips practically glowed under infrared cameras. He wore a cheap ski mask and strapped a belly band holster improperly over a heavy jacket. John Correa, a recognized firearms expert, publicly stated that nobody with a single day of tactical training configures a holster like that. Defenders argue this proves the suspect absolutely lacks the intellect of a biology teacher. They claim an AP biology instructor would never appear that ridiculously incompetent. The gear looks cheap, the loadout seems sloppy, so it cannot be him. Now, reverse that logic entirely. If a highly educated individual plans a severe felony requiring total anonymity, their most crucial weapon is the suspect profile. This constitutes the precise behavioral template the FBI builds to identify targets. March onto that porch wearing professional tactical gear, night vision, active signal blocking tech, and a perfectly fitted holster. And FBI profilers hunt an educated, ruthlessly disciplined, highly organized phantom. That target pool shrinks rapidly. It aims directly at science teachers, but arrive wearing the worst loadout imaginable: sport, the clearance aisle, backpack, leave those glaring reflective strips intact, strap the weapon holster on backward, and FBI profilers immediately draft a disorganized, impulsive threat. They hunt a guy who never executed a serious plan, abruptly ignoring the methodical educator residing just 4 miles away. We are not looking at stupidity. We are witnessing a brilliantly deliberate costume that worked flawlessly for months, right up until one catastrophic error. The error was the getaway car. That single detail possesses the explosive power to shatter this entire case wide open. Elias and Danielle, a local couple, lived roughly 2.5 miles from NY's property on a quiet residential back road. Their security system logged 12 vehicles rolling past between midnight and 6 a.m. on February 1st. One specific car emerged at 2:36 in the morning. NY's internal pacemaker abruptly disconnected at 2:28. An NBC correspondent drove the escape route connecting NY's house to that camera. The trip took exactly 6 minutes. 2:28 plus 6 minutes of driving equals 2:34. It rolls into the camera frame at 2:36, leaving a precise 2-minute gap. That creates the exact mathematical margin required for a fleeing driver to exit NY's street, check rearview mirrors, rip off a mask, take a breath, and hit the gas. Pat Brown, a retired NYPD detective, firmly identified the suspect vehicle as a Kia Soul. The sheriff verified to NBC that this vehicle's timing perfectly matches the abduction window, but everyone keeps missing the most glaring flaw. That couple's residence sits completely outside the 2-mile search radius that law enforcement initially canvassed. No detectives ever knocked on their door. They actually stepped forward independently after catching local news coverage. They scrubbed their own security footage and handed the digital evidence directly to investigators. So, how many other cameras sitting between 2 and 5 miles away recorded something massive? We do not know, simply because the official canvass ended half a mile too early. The trap was purely digital. Yet the FBI holds the physical footage. They know exactly which way that vehicle fled. South toward Interstate 19, the direct pipeline to the Mexican border. West toward Tucson, where Evans lives. North toward Oro Valley, where Tommaso teaches. Each route writes a distinct ending. Authorities won't reveal the path the real truth hides in the ransom. $6 million in Bitcoin. Not 5 million, not 10, never a round guess. Strangers make dreaming big. 6 million is surgical. That exact figure screams someone knows Savannah Guthrie's real earnings. They grasp the stark difference between her total net worth and accessible liquid cash. A random kidnapper demands $50 million because outsiders dream massive without granular details. An insider lands on $6 million by sitting at that dinner table for 2 decades, absorbing wealth conversations. But here is where the entire ransom theory completely shatters. The feds wired a tiny test deposit into that Bitcoin wallet immediately following the demand. A deliberate snare. That account stayed silent ever since. Zero activity. Nobody grabbed a single cent. Why ignore a fortune? If cash drove this, somebody transfers those funds instantly. Criminals use privacy protocols and mixing networks, making Bitcoin transfers nearly impossible to track. Tech-savvy players know how to pull that cash while building massive hurdles for detectives. Yet nobody did, without even a test transfer. That deafening silence confirms what the abandoned counter-medication proved. That ransom demand never truly aimed to secure cash. It acted as a prop, pushing detectives toward financial motives, while the real motive sat undisturbed 4 miles away. The slip-up happened in language. One ransom note mentioned a Maine individual. Look closely. Maine. You never call yourself the main guy unless secondary players operate directly beneath you. That tiny word completely exposed the architecture of their whole criminal ring. A hierarchy hiding inside an extortion letter. 19 years of stage rehearsals, 19 years of live performances, 19 years of a drummer learning a bassist's subtle movement long before he actually moves, anticipating shifts early, reacting to unspoken cues. That deep synchronization escapes the rehearsal studio. It morphs into the baseline for coordination anywhere. It hardwires as muscle memory. It builds unbreakable trust. But consider the brutal reality of 2-man crews. They always carry a breaking point. That split second hits unannounced when one realizes the other will sacrifice them. Inside this case, that fracture might already be here. The FBI isn't waiting for confessions. They need zero cooperation. Forensic experts are processing DNA at a private Florida lab. Technicians are testing the mixed biological sample pulled directly from inside Nancy's house. The glove profile might clear first, offering a cleaner sample. Finished profiles hit genealogy databases. A partial hit on a distant relative, a second cousin, a great-uncle, gives detectives the exact thread to unravel everything. 2 DNA profiles equal 2 independent family trees. 2 separate shots at scoring a genetic match. Cell tower pings never require anyone to talk. Purchase histories need no confessions. 10,000 hours of surveillance run perfectly without a single witness. The sheer math of this case is caving in. The people on the other side know it. The mastermind knows the ground operative can destroy his existence with one quick phone call. The operative knows the architect will deny everything, spin a clean alibi, and force him to carry the charges. Who breaks first? Savannah Guthrie dropped a $1 million family reward. Pure cash. Anonymous tips accepted. $1 million makes trust the most fragile commodity in Arizona. Whatever glued these men for 19 years, shared stages, silences, shared creative vision, built for music. Not this. The crushing weight of 1:47 in the morning on February 1st outweighs any track they recorded. I want to close with a detail I keep turning over since building this timeline. On March 2nd, exactly 1 month after Nancy vanished, Tommaso Cioni appeared publicly for the first time since she disappeared. He walked arm in arm with Annie and Savannah straight to the memorial outside Nancy's house. Cameras rolling, yellow flowers, handwritten cards, a framed family portrait of shared grief, and 0 statements. He granted 0 interviews. He made no direct pleas to whoever snatched Nancy. He just walked toward the 1-month memorial while news cameras tracked his every move. Who was he? That marked his first public appearance in weeks. The man who drove Nancy home on her last night alive, the guy missing his mother-in-law. He stayed completely silent for a month while his wife uploaded videos begging the world for help. He said nothing while Savannah wept publicly and offered a $1 million reward. He remained mute while the nation demanded answers. Innocent people do not go dark when someone they love vanishes. Grief consumes a person. It spills out before they can ever stop it. It demands an audience. It demands a microphone. It claims every available camera. Silence is a calculated choice. It is the choice suspects make when their attorney warns them every uttered word becomes trial evidence. Does his silence matter? The DNA is processing. The genealogy databases are searching. The vehicle footage exists. Detectives pulled the cell logs. Physical evidence no longer requires anyone's cooperation. Nancy Guthrie earned the truth. Her family needs closure. If you saw something strange, a midnight drive making 0 sense, a weird conversation, an odd purchase, you might be staring at this screen right now. Dial the tip line. Claim the reward. Bring Nancy home. Subscribe and turn on your notifications. When this investigation breaks open, and it absolutely will, I will be here covering every single development live. Part 3 drops soon. What I uncovered for that upload will completely alter how you view everything you just watched.